In today's episode, I try to figure out what I did in past life to deserve this.
Welcome back to another episode of Garageaholics E31 S85 build part 4. As you can tell, it's a little bit windy out today, and I do not feel comfortable painting in this wind. I got really lucky yesterday painting those jams outside. It was an absolutely gorgeous day, but today we're gonna need to be painting inside, which is why I have just some fans rigged up on the garage door to extract those fumes. But don't worry, we will be putting up an inflatable paint booth as well and giving it a full, thorough review. Guys, tune in, check it out. So ideally what I'm trying to do here is paint and clear coat the jams, because I want to install the doors on as is. So I'm gonna have basically these jams painted. The door jams are already gonna be painted. So I'm gonna have like foam tape being put on the outside perimeter. And that's going to allow me to then close the door when I do the final paint job, and I can just go all the way across and get a really good, very consistent layer of base coat applied at that point in time.
So I basically spent a couple of hours, perhaps maybe, sanding all the jams down to 400 grit. Got to get a really nice surface for everything to stick to. I also take care of the trunk and the other side of the jam. Really important to do that before you lay any base coat down. This is the Wanda 2-to-1, basically 2 parts paint to 1 part reducer. And I felt like it was probably a good idea to wet down the surface of the floor before I painted, just to prevent any dust from coming up. And you can see here that, you know, I'm laying down the paint, I'm doing it really slowly, and I'm basically feathering in different locations just to make sure that I get a nice even coat. Again, that first coat is light, that second coat is a little bit heavier, and did the gas cap too, so that just about covers it for the base coat.
All right, the first coat is on. It's a little glossy because it's still not dry, but when it does dry, it will flatten out. You can see there's a couple flat spots right there. So this is actually looking pretty good. I have one tiny little piece, a little bit of fisheye right there that I have to work on and sand out. I got the gas cap as well. The gas cap has been painted. I got the upper part of the rear bumper. And the reason I did that is because I'm gonna end up installing the rear bumper when I paint the whole car, so I don't want there to be any exposed white on the car when I'm painting it. So I want to get all the underside of this, and of course the top side of the bumper. So when I spray it again, to say it again, I want to basically have it one big brush stroke essentially. And the same thing for the side skirts. I'm not going to paint this part because this is really the most important part that's going to be shown on the car. So that's going to end up staying as is. Yeah, looking pretty good. The second coat of base is now been applied here. You can see, got a nice deep bluish purple look. It actually matches the gloves quite well. Didn't even mean to do that. Everything is done. The back sides of the hinges are done. The underside of the A-pillar is all done. Matte finish here. The door jams will be clear coated. I also did the gas cap because I'm going to put the cap on and then just go over one big swoosh when I'm done and ready to do the car. The trunk is done. As you can see, that is also a matte finish, and that will stay a matte finish. That's how BMW designed these cars, is that the trunk and the hood are actually just base coated, not clear coated. It's not shiny like you'd expect to see. In the door jams, which is what I'm going to do, is clear coat the door jams, but I'm not going to do the trunk. I'm gonna leave it as is. It is good, I am done. So this is the other side, and I am done there. I wanna also address one other thing, and that is the car behind me, the E30. Yeah, I'm gonna be giving this thing a really nice cut and buff. I know that, you know, there's probably specks of clear coat and paint falling on it, and that's fine. I really don't care because I'm going to give this thing the detail of its life this winter. So at this point, I don't really care. I'd rather have it on the lift and do some underbody work and detail it this winter. So for those of you who are talking about the E30 in the background, that is my deal with that. Again, we're gonna be using the Wanda 8100. It's a 2K clear, it's a polyurethane, basically a 4-to-1, so it's 4 parts clear to 1 part hardener. I'm gonna be putting it in here, then putting it in here, and then we're gonna be putting it on those.
So here we go again. Just gotta mix that 4-to-1 clear, pour it through the filter, and get as much as you can out of that. Use a tack cloth rag. That's a tack cloth rag to get all the dirt and debris off that might have fallen on the paint before you spray that first coat. You can tell I'm putting that first coat on pretty light. I'm not really lingering in any place for too long. And I'm, again, feathering it on and just kind of getting it to that first coat to stick. And it's not going to be shiny, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be shiny for that first coat. That second coat is really where it ends up shining. But you got to be careful not to put it on too thick. So we'll go into that second coat. You'll see right here that I mess up big time.
Oh no! So this, after the second coat, had tons of runs, and I think I know exactly why. There's one big one there. There's a bunch of small ones here, which I'm probably not gonna really address since the trim is gonna go over that anyway. But this is really, this is a feature. You open the door and you take a look at the sill, and you can see, I actually tried to correct it as the clear coat was still wet, and you can see that it's just like, really bad. So basically it's all here and down and up in here. So I want to fix this. This is no doubt about it. You can see a little bit more down here. I got to fix this. This is no doubt about that. And I need to basically wait until this dries overnight, sand it down, and then put another layer of clear on it. Now, if I go through the paint with the sanding just to get all this out, well, then I'm gonna have to repaint and clear coat again, but that is well worth it for me to make sure that I have this perfect. Let's take a look at the other side real quick, and I'll show you what perfect really looks like. All right, so this is the driver's side, and you can see with the light reflecting on it that this is much, much better. I mean, it is very, very smooth. You can even, like at this point now, it's just been a couple of hours, you can kind of touch it. It feels like a baby's bottom. Even over here, you can see, I mean, the clear coat really looks good. I think that there might be like a tiny run, like right up in this corner here, but it's really hard to tell. It's almost imperceptible. And there's also gonna be, trim that kind of comes around here. So I'm not too concerned about that. But this is actually really nice condition. Very, very good work. This is the second door sill that I did. So I actually took the lessons learned from the first one and applied to the second one. It's nice, it's warm. It's like 75 degrees and I had a nice draft coming in. But yeah, you can see, turned out really nice. Wow, look at that, see? Not bad. So overall, I'm not happy about the passenger side. I gotta fix that, so I'm gonna do that tomorrow, and we'll do a quick, I'll show you how to do that. But yeah, definitely gotta fix the passenger side. Well, I knew it was too good to be true. I went through the paint. So all I'm gonna do really is just scuff this entire surface. I'm gonna clean up all these other scratches and all these other runs rather, and I'm going to repaint this whole thing and re-clear coat it because I just do not, this sucks. Oh well, this is what happens when you're doing a paint job. So you just gotta learn. When you go through, you just gotta redo it. And when I'm gonna redo this, it's actually gonna be way better than it was before. So I'm not really worried at all. It's just gonna take more time. I had a couple of runs coming down here. I tried to sand them out. I ended up going through, right, to the primer. And then I realized that as I cleared it after the fact, that there was actually like still a little undulation in the clear coat. And I also did the same thing over here. So I figured, you know what? Forget that. I'm not dealing with the runs in a very obvious, conspicuous area. So I am going to basically just tear the whole thing down. I'm going to re-primer this whole area. And then I'm going to essentially just rebuild it back up. So I already started with removing all of the paint with this premium stripper, basically an aircraft level stripper. And I'm just basically taking off all the original paint and primer, and that is bare metal. So I need to do another epoxy coating of the white coating before I can lay my base and my clear down again. So let's start over. Okay, I think I've got the situation under control, and I've basically taken all the paint off, and there is actually a zinc coating, I think, on the metal, so I know that I have a good corrosion resistance. I am going to be doing another coat of primer, and then I'm going to let it sit overnight and then come back and revisit.
So here we go again. You can see that I was kind of priming the gun by just blowing air over the part before I laid that base coat, and that's important because you want to just make sure that that helps to get any dust that might have settled off of it as well. Tack cloth is good, but blowing it with the gun is also better. So again, first coat of clear, nice and light, not lingering into one place too long. Feathering that clear coat on, and you can see the second coat is good. So I ended up doing a pretty good job on that. And then I started to spray the headlight covers, the sunroof over there on the right, and the mirrors on the right as well. Very light coat for the first coat again. And you know, it was kind of moving around. As you can see, I got those 6 fans back there. Those 6 fans are really good to just take any fumes that are in the garage and suck it right out. Really, really important because you don't want anything to settle in the paint, including, of course, you know, the fumes settling on the rest of the car or anywhere else, toolboxes, stuff like that. So you can see that I'm kind of going through, I'm getting the edges nice and easy. And when you're talking about painting those mirror bases, I mean, there's a lot of like curves and features there, so you gotta be really careful. This is a really interesting one because I actually decided to sand that second coat of paint just because I wanted to see how it would look if I sanded the actual paint and see what it would look like if I laid a third coat of paint down, you know, to kind of even out all the color and see how smooth it would look, and then lay that clear on. So the results actually turned out really well, which really makes me feel better about, you know, the idea of actually sanding down the paint, the base coat, before you lay on that first coat of clear. Really nice, helps to make it all smooth. And look at that. Look at the glistening and the reflection. I mean, there's orange peel, but it's very minimal. And I'm okay with that because that is a good European look. And the same for the sunroof. And of course, the mirrors look really, really good too. I was really, really happy about how everything turned out, and I'd like to replicate that on the rest of the car.
So finally, I get to see this thing in the sun, and this is one of the mirror bases. Look at that, huh? Brand new clear coat, not one drip. I don't even need to sand this. I mean, this is almost perfect.